Over the last year, I've made over $1 million trading crypto meme coins, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the complete guide on how to find and invest in high potential meme coins before they explode. This is the exact step-by-step system I use to consistently spot opportunities in the market, manage my risk, and grow my portfolio. Whether you're just getting started or you've been in this game for a while and you just can't seem to catch the winners, this video will give you the full blueprint. You'll learn what tools and filters I use every day, how to identify coins with massive upside before the crowd finds them, how to manage risk and protect your gains, and how to build a system that you can repeat consistently. So if you're tired of watching others making life-changing gains while you stay on the sidelines, this guide is for you. Let's dive in, and by the end, you'll have a clear path towards making smarter and more profitable trades. Before anything, we need to dial in the setup that you're trading on, because these meme coin moves can literally happen in seconds, and a bad setup is gonna hurt your entries. You're not going to be able to do research as efficiently. You're trading with a physical disadvantage. And if you even want a chance of hitting these crazy P&Ls you see people posting on the timeline, you need a proper meme coin trading setup. So this is what your trading setup should look like if you want to take this seriously. Number one, trade on a PC or a laptop. I literally have 3 monitors in front of me right now when I'm trading at all times. You need to be looking at several different things at once. Your charts, your new pairs, your communities. And if you're trying to keep up with all that on a mobile device, just forget it, because you need a monitor and a keyboard to keep up with things on the timeline. Number 2, a Twitter account. Twitter is the most important research platform in crypto, and knowing what's going on in crypto culture is really going to help your screening process of what coin is going to do well or not. Because a lot of these coins are literally just stuff that's translated over from crypto Twitter. And that also means it's where you're going to be spending a lot of the time just scrolling through and following as many people as you can. And just to go off on that, you're also going to need a Discord account and a Telegram account, and being part of a community in crypto is going to make your life a lot easier, which I will be explaining later on in the video. Next, you want to set up a Phantom wallet. All you need to do for that is head to the Phantom wallet official Twitter and go on their official site and set up the extension. And this is where you're going to be holding a lot of your cryptocurrency. And the last and most important thing we need is Axiom as our trading platform. It's the best trading platform in the space. It's the fastest, it's got the cheapest fees, it's backed by Y Combinator, so it's the most secure, and it has every single feature you need to, number 1, buy coins quickly, and number 2, do research efficiently. So to set it up, head to the link in the description down below, and it should take you to this page right here. Make sure it says Fortune on the second bar, and it's going to give you a 10% discount on all fees that you're using for the site, which is really going to save you money in the long run. And all you have to do from here is sign up either using your Gmail or the Phantom wallet I was talking about from before. Either one is perfectly fine. And once you're done, it should take you to this page right here. And what you're going to do from here is head to the poll section, and this is where every single new coin in real time is going to show up. So this is where you're going to be watching 24/7, but yours might look a little bit more chaotic than mine right now just because I have a couple filters set up. And for my filters, which you can change with this little button right here, open up metrics, make sure market cap is minimum 10,000, and that's going to be all. Keeping it simple, right? You're not going to find good coins using a filter. It's going to be from your own trading intuition. So I'm going to hit apply all. And for your priority and bribery fees, these aren't really going to matter too much. I feel like mine are a little expensive for a lot of you watching the video. So what you can do is, instead of mine, if you have a little bit less capital to play with, do something like 0.001. 40 for the sell setting, 60 for the buy setting, and you should be solid. Most of the time, unless you're competing with snipers, the priority and the bribery setting isn't really going to affect you too much. But even with the perfect setup, you're still disadvantaged if you're trading alone. Meme coins are incredibly difficult to do on your own. What nobody's going to tell you is that this isn't the market you can outsmart on your own as a beginner. Do you really think the best traders on chain are trading by themselves? Absolutely not. They're trading in other groups with other top traders. They're trading with their friends. My point is, the more eyes you have scanning the market, the more brains you have analyzing coins, the easier it is to find success. Look at all the coins that are on my screen right now. It is humanly impossible to catch every single coin that pops up on your face. I could be looking at a chart here and another coin pops up. I can't do it. And I'm willing to bet my entire net worth that you can't either. But fortunately, there's an easy solution to all this, and that's literally just trading with other people. And if you want to trade with me and some of the best traders in the space, go check out Fortune in the first link in the description down below. We've been hitting some banger calls recently, like Charles over here. I called that 334K. And if I open it up on Axiom, it went to an all-time high of 20 million. 30K on my P&L, as you can see right here. Not too bad, and we've also had a lot of members making similar P&Ls, so definitely go and take a look. My point is, just trade with other people. It could literally just be trading with your friends, and that's already going to give you a huge advantage. And there are a bunch of solid networks on crypto Twitter that you guys can also look at. But having more eyes on the market is just the start. You need to know what these eyes are actually looking for. Before I teach you how to identify the runners, you need to know what makes a coin actually go up. So many people think it's random, or they chase the hype without actually knowing what causes the move, and that leads to people thinking this game is just gambling. And that is some of the biggest code you can ever hear in your entire life. There is an actual system in place here, and it's the people who understand it versus the people who don't that differentiates who's a profitable trader or not. And I can tell you that from my own experience. During my beginner stage, I had no concept of this system whatsoever, and I would chase coins without knowing what I was actually looking for. I was blindly FOMOing to volume, blindly buying into other people's random scans. The point is, I didn't fully know what I was actually buying, and this was why for the first month of trading, I was completely unprofitable. I burnt the $500 I started with. I burnt the $300 redeposit when I tried again. And only after a full month did I start turning profitable after that third deposit. And that was all because of this system I had to identify valuable coins. So what exactly are you looking for here? Number one is going to be narrative. And this is the coin's story. And this is going to be the piece of news that the coin centered around, right? So what's the trend, meme, tech, culture that it's really about. And this is the most important thing you're looking for when you're trading crypto, because meme coins are an attention market, and a strong story is going to lead to more attention, is going to lead to more value. To show you guys an example to make this a little bit easier to understand, we have the official Trump coin right here, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably heard about. And the narrative on this coin would be the most popular man in crypto making a coin. It's obviously retraced really hard at the moment, but you can see the most popular man in the world making a meme coin is a really strong narrative, and it shows it on chain with an all-time high of billions. And when you have a coin that has such a strong narrative that it takes over whatever's happening in the market at the moment, that causes a beta. And the meta just means the current leading narrative of the market. And with that beta comes two things: the alpha play, the coin that's causing the beta, and the beta plays that come with it, which are going to be co-plays, coins that have matching narratives to the meta, and as a result, do well alongside the alpha play. They follow in its trail. That's why it's called a beta. So as you can see, crypto and meme coin trading is all about narratives. And this is why it's so important to understand what's going on in the world, what's going on in crypto Twitter, whatever's popular in social media, because you can use anything that's getting a lot of attention and translate that on chain. And the next thing you need to look for is a community. And this is going to be the coin's audience. Anyone supporting the coin, endorsing it, buying it, holding, is part of the coin's community. Of course, a coin can't get attention without a community supporting it. So the valuation you're looking for here is how strong is the community? How much engagement is the coin getting on social media? Are there any powerful influencers pushing the coin? And the closer you have of this community becoming something like a cult, the better. And community is extremely important for culture coins, and I'll teach you exactly what these are, specifically later in the video, which need a community to run. The next thing we want to look for in a coin is the price action, and this is just how the coin is moving on the chart. Up, down, how much volume it's getting, etc., etc. And this is really important because a coin needs volume to get eyes. Like I said, more eyes equals more attention equals more value. Because of this, most of the time, price action is probably going to be your first indicator of interest in a coin. And understanding price action specifically is not only important for getting good entries, good exits, but it's extremely essential for scalp trading, which I'm going to show live examples of and breaking down later in the video. For example, if you're sitting on Pulse and you see a new coin getting volume, it's probably a good idea to research on why it's getting that volume. Figure out, okay, is this getting volume because it has a good narrative, or does it have a good community? And the final thing you want to look for is the coin's legitimacy. So, does the coin look fake? Is the narrative or whatever piece of news it's centered around made up? Does the price action look really inorganic? Is the community botted? Axiom's really going to help you out with this, right? Doing proper research and using common sense. I can literally pop up new pairs right here and identify what's a scam or not in half a second. So for example, Moodang. Axiom's telling me it's got an egregious bundle snipe percentage and it's getting zero volume whatsoever. And not only that, Moodang's already an existing $300 million market cap coin. And this is what I mean by having experience, right? I already know this exists, so I can already tell this is a fake. Or if a tech coin pops up and the founder's from Harvard, he's worked at Microsoft, Nvidia, and he has a tweet history, but you look at his Twitter and he hasn't posted anything in 5 years and just revives out of the dead to post a contract address. That's obviously too good to be true. So you can mark that down as a scam. But following the structure is going to lead you to 3 different types of coins that are going to make up 99% of all profitable coins on chain. And the first of these 3 different types of coins are going to be culture coins. So these are going to be coins that are centered around memes or a piece of crypto Twitter culture. And the fundamentals behind every single good culture coin is going to include that piece of culture getting a lot of engagement, having a sense of memeability, and how much crypto Twitter really likes this meme, which basically means how does this piece of culture look as a coin? And finally, this doesn't always have to be the case, but strong influencers backing up this culture. And when all these fundamentals come together, you have yourself a culture coin runner. So let me show you guys a perfect example of a culture coin runner, and that would be King Charles right here. So as you guys can see, I had about a 170 sold P&L on this, which is about 30,000 US dollars. I'm not gonna lie, I did misplay this a little bit, sold a little bit way too early, but outside of all of that, I was still early because I was able to identify this as a culture coin runner. Now, let's look at this coin. Now, just off an initial view, it just looks like some random coin that was made of this dog. But there's a lot more going on to this than you think. Now, if I head back to the list of fundamentals, number 1, engagement. One thing I found when I looked up King Charles on Instagram was that this dog, King Charles, had over 120 million views on Instagram content alone on the first day of him going viral. Now that's an absolutely ridiculous amount of engagement. So it's already an anomaly in that apartment. Number 2, memeability, or how does it look as a coin? So if you know anything about crypto Twitter, you know that CT loves animals. I don't know what it is, but crypto Twitter just loves cute animals. I mean, the main meme coin is Doge, and so many runners on chain have just straight up been animals. So King Charles is something that looks great as a coin, because all we need to do is look at the history of what crypto Twitter generally likes. And next, the memeability aspect of it. So if you look into what King Charles actually is, he's the leader of some dog range, and he's been filmed doing some pretty crazy stuff. You can see here there's literally an aura edit of King Charles stepping on another dog's neck. I mean, he's literally an alpha dog. That's honestly pretty hilarious. So not only is this something that crypto Twitter would historically love, but there's also a lot of great memeability in this. And through those fundamentals is why I bought so early, held through the drawdowns for days, and was able to walk away with $30,000. Now that process might seem a little stupid, but remember, meme coins are an attention game. Everything I went over has a significant place in the valuation of this coin. And of course, once you've got these fundamentals down, you also need to go over the legitimacy, do a quick due diligence check. Okay, was this coin done in the past? King Charles was not. And have influencers behind, or have the influencers behind that culture project scammed before. And these are really only the 2 things you need to look at beyond, of course, the bundle and sniper check, which Axiom will just honestly straight up tell you. The second type of coin that you need to look out for are tech coins. And these are going to be coins that are centered around utility. And for these kind of coins, the most important fundamental you need to look for is who is behind the project and how much influence do they have. Is it a reputable developer? Is it a well-known institution? These are things beyond whatever specifics are going on with the tech. Anybody who isn't even in crypto can understand. If I see a piece of utility that's coming out from a Harvard graduate, I know this is going to be something that's going to get attention. And that's going to be the only thing that matters in this case. And being able to use crypto Twitter is just as important in this case. And that's why I want you to follow as many accounts as possible on crypto. So when you're looking through a tech coin, you open up their Twitter and you see a really solid mutual, whether it's some kind of academy, a developer with a lot of stars on their GitHub, a developer with a lot of awards. This is stuff you need to look out for in every single coin. So don't try to see how fancy the tech is or anything. Just look to see who is actually behind the project and how reputable they are. That means go through the GitHub, go through their Twitter, what kind of followers they have, whatever past projects they made. But beyond that, you should also look for an actual coin use case. So is there any point of actually having a coin for that piece of tech? A lot of tech in this space doesn't actually need a coin around them whatsoever. It means that number 1, the person running it is probably only doing it to extract money. And number 2, it means that the coin doesn't actually have any long-term value. In meme coins, there's a lot of different trading styles you can adopt, right? But make sure you're using these styles on the right types of coins. Contrary to what a lot of people say about just sticking to one exclusive style when you're trading, I'm not really a big believer in that when it comes to meme coins. Because in here, as long as you know what actually drives the value in these coins, and what to look for, honestly, just sticking to one style really could limit you. And different coins are going to require you to take on different trading styles. So for some coins, the move might happen in seconds. You want to get in and get out ASAP, or you could have $1 million runner in your hands and you need to know how to capture that move. And knowing this, I'm about to teach you the 2 most important trading styles you should at least be aware of. So the first trading style I want to talk about is going to be scalping. Now, if you have a smaller port, you might really prefer this strategy, but there's also lots of extremely profitable traders who mainly only scalp as well. But what actually is scalping? So scalping is not about conviction. You're not holding these coins long term. You're pretty much taking advantage of these quick bursts of volume and momentum on a short-lived narrative, right? You're getting in, you're getting out, and you're stacking consistent wins. So your goal here is really just to stay liquid and play the price action so you can dump on other people. So I'm going to go over each necessary step that you need to know if you want to know how to scalp trade. The first thing is going to be the legitimacy check. So when it comes to scalping, Axiom is going to do a lot of the legitimacy job for you. If you see a coin that has a ridiculously high snipe percentage, bundle percentage, dev wallet percentage, or if it's a copied coin and it's straight up not getting any organic volume, you can just ignore it and go next. But when you're scalping, these percentages might matter a little bit less because it doesn't matter if the coin is bundled, right? If you're in and out before the bundle is selling. So you want to take these stats with slightly less importance. And when you're scalping, you want to capitalize mainly off short-lived narratives. So what does this mean? It means you're going to sit on Axiom and wait for a narrative that catches your eye. That's all it needs to do, catch your eye. Don't worry about the long-term aspect of it, how it's going to hold up in the short-term future. Ignore all of that. All you want to look for is something that catches your eye. And that could be a tech coin with some real utility, but it doesn't really have the best backing, or a popular meme that you're seeing on social media right now. Just wait for something that's going to catch your eye. And one thing that's going to make this process really easy is understanding what the meta is right now. And like I said before, the meta is the current leading narrative. A good example of this would be when Believe coins were doing really well. You see this coin right in front of me, launch coin, and the whole narrative around this coin is it's a launch pad with really strong backings. Because of that, a lot of coins that were being launched on the Believe launch pad were doing extremely well and getting a lot of initial volume. I can honestly pull a couple over here. This one I made 2K on. And a lot of scalp opportunities came up like this, not because they had a really strong narrative or anything, but just because they fit the meta. So one thing you want to note is that beta and co-plays are extremely good scalp opportunities. Most trades are really going to last a couple seconds or maybe a few minutes, and your win rate here should be pretty consistent. Next piece of valuation we need to focus on for scalping is the community check. But for scalping, this honestly isn't going to be too important. The whole point of a coin's community is to keep it alive as long as possible. In scalping, that doesn't matter. You're in and out in seconds. You're just coming in, holding for a few seconds, and then terrorizing the chart. That's your whole goal here, not to become a community member. Right, for scalping, you're not really relying too much on the audience unless you're trying to scalp a more higher market cap coin. But instead, you're really just taking advantage of the volume. And that leads to the next check of price action. And this is the opposite. Price action is extremely important when you're scalping. You only want to be scalping coins with a lot of volume because obviously you can't make any money if no one's buying after you, right? On a new pair, if you're buying after the third local top of a coin, there's probably not going to be a lot of juice left. And you can see that right here. The second the volume starts to taper off, the coin just nukes. And this is why you want to either number one, be as early as possible and get in on the volume and look for a flash dump, or you want to bid a extremely strong retrace, which is going to apply a lot more to higher market cap scalps. But you have to be aware, in any case, remember, narrative is still the most important thing. Price action is almost always going to be narrative dependent. What do I mean by this? If the narrative is strong, the price action is going to reflect off of that. It's going to get a lot of volume. It's going to have a healthier chart. So while price action is still important, don't try to look at volume and the chart alone. Remember, this is an attention market. And let me show you some live trades of me doing this just so you can get a better understanding. Here's a great example of a scalp opportunity. Tech coin with an okay-ish founder, but nothing really else outside of that. So I'm going to buy in with 10 Sol here and see how far this initial volume is going to take me. Going to take my initials here. I know it's going to bring in eyes, but outside of that, there's not really a chance of some long-term upside potential unless it just happens to be a call to Pasternak. But all it is, it's a doxed founder, which is going to bring in some people, but nothing really else outside of that. So I'm just going to exit here. My goal was to scalp this coin, and nothing about the narrative has changed yet. There's no collab announcement or any other further plans on the coin. All it has is a decent founder. But just like that, I made 10 Sol, almost $2,000 in literally a few seconds. It's all about finding something eye-catching like this doxed founder. and figuring out if it's real, then trading that speculation volume. So I've got my profit now. I'm going to move on to the next play. So this is a coin that's got pretty good potential for a scalp. We're going to buy in small with 3 SOL, and this coin clout is something with a short-lived narrative. It fits the meta of AI virtual curve coins right now, but at the end of the day, it's just some coin with a little bit of potential lore that was found on Twitter with no real future bull catalyst. So I'm just going to capitalize off the volume that it's getting and wait for a quick exit with the few percent that I've got on this coin here. Still getting a bit of mind share. The volume is slowing down a bit, so just going to wait for one more pump and sell my position. Right there, volume's tapering off. So just going to nuke my bag here. And just like that, in literally just a few seconds, I made $200. Painted the chart red while doing so, but who cares? At the end of the day, I'm the one who made money, and everyone else is still stuck in a coin with no realistic future bull catalyst. And sure, that $200 may not seem like a lot, but those small wins stack up really fast. And that's the whole point of this strategy. These small wins after small wins, and made money off of this coin. Now we're about to move on to the next play. Now let's go over some risk fundamentals that you need to keep in mind when you're scalping. The first thing I want to talk about is you should only be using 5 to 10% of your trenching wallet per scalp for new pairs. Your goal here is to take profit extremely aggressively. You want to beat the house here, but you don't want to get too greedy, right? If you make 2 or 3 SOL on your scalp, that's a win. You want to build up your port with these small wins. And that also means you want to keep your losses extremely small. Never be afraid to cut your losses early if the trade isn't going like the way you want it to. Remember, you're trading short-lived narratives here. If it's not working out in the moment, probably not a great chance it's going to work later down the road. And just for some rules of thumb, scalping is part understanding narrative and part understanding price action. The more you do this, the better you're going to get. You just want to keep stacking these small wins. Remember, some of the most profitable traders in crypto build their port up little win by little win. And that also means these few hundred or few $1,000 trades are going to stack up extremely quickly. And when you're doing this, please don't be afraid to just absolutely screw the chart. You want to feel zero shame about what you're doing, right? You're an on-chain terrorist. Be ready to sell your initials or your supply at any time and push that downtrend even further. I'm scalp trading. If the coin 1.5x's or 2x's, I'm not afraid to sell 2 to 3% of the coin supply at once. People might hate you, people might complain, the holders might complain, but at the end of the day, it's a free market. Just remember, you're the one bringing money to the table. But as we know, the best way to make money in meme coins is to be on the high volume momentum runners that a lot of the traders in the trenches are paying attention to and buying. After all, you're not here in the meme coin space to get these tiny 1, 2 SOL wins. You're here for the potential 100x plays you're seeing on the timeline. And that brings me to the next trading style, which is looking for high momentum runners. And this is where you start making the big money. These are the kinds of plays that turn my $2,000 challenge wallet, which I started literally just a month ago for the fun of it, just to prove to you guys it's possible with any amount of capital, into the $60,000 P&L that it has now. I can go down the list, 30K P&L, 11K P&L, 9K P&L, and so on, so on. These are the types of plays, if you execute them properly, can change your life. So without further ado, let's go through all the valuation checks to understand how to actually implement this strategy. Number 1, legitimacy. Once again, Axiom has a part in this. If you see a coin that has a really high snipe percentage, a high bundle percentage, a high dev wallet percentage, or it's a copied coin, you probably want to ignore it and go next. And you can see this if the coin you're looking at isn't getting any actual organic volume. And when you're looking for actual runners, these percentages are going to matter a lot more because an unhealthy distro can really screw the long-term health of a coin. Think about it this way. People are going to be way less inclined to let a coin go to multi-millions if the dev is holding over 10%, or if there are a lot of holders that hold over 3%, or if there's an egregious bundle percentage like 40 or 50 or more. There's just going to be way too much sell pressure. And one thing I really want to emphasize here are faked coins. So many narratives are going to seem way too good to be true. So make sure to check every single area of research. That means Twitter followers, Twitter history. You just want to make sure the narrative is actually legit. And once you've got the legitimacy checked off, let's go over what kind of narrative these runners are actually going to have. Of course, these high momentum runners are going to have an extremely strong narrative focus. So narrative is everything when it comes to these coins. And to make it easier to understand what narratives to actually look for, I'm going to be putting it in the framework of the 3 types of profitable coins you can land on in the market. And once again, these are going to be culture coins, tech coins, and Twitter coins. So what makes a popular culture coin? All you need to look for is 3 things. Number 1, the trend needs to be extremely popular. Number 2, it needs to resonate really well with crypto Twitter. What does this mean? It means that that piece of culture needs to look good as a coin. It should land under something that has historically performed well in crypto. For example, stuff like animals, brain rot, anything related to finance generally does pretty well. And finally, strong community engagement. The coin needs to be able to cultivate an audience that's going to push and support this coin. So I'm going to use 2 coins that I made a decent profit on for this challenge as an example. First one, King, which I briefly went over already. Number 1, the trend was extremely viral. King Charles got over 120 million views on Instagram content alone the first day it went viral. Number 2, the trend resonated really well with CT. Crypto Twitter historically loves animals, so this looks really good as a coin. And it has some sense of memeability to it. It's literally an alpha dog. That's something both people in crypto and outside of it would find hilarious. It looks like a meme, and it's an asset that does well historically. So it resonates really well with CT. Number 3, King Charles had great community engagement. The first day this coin launched and the days coming after it, people were regularly engaging with the posts, sharing it, pushing it around, and it's content that could be shared to people who aren't even in crypto. See, you had people making stuff like edits, art, anything that's going to raise community. And when all of these factors come together, you have a coin like this, a 20 million market cap animal runner, which I ended up making about 168 SOL on. Everything lined up for a running culture coin, and I ended up making 30K on this challenge. The next type of running narrative I want to talk about are tech coins. So coins made from utility. The 2 things you're going to be looking out for here are 1, a reputable founder, and 2, actual use case of the tech. And a perfect example of this I want to show you guys is Launchcoin. So Launchcoin, I believe, this is a coin that went to 300 million market cap. So very clearly a tech runner right here. And now let's go over the list. So number 1, does it have a reputable founder? So Launchcoin is a coin launch pad. Basically the whole tech around this is that you can launch Solana coins on this platform and it'll show up on chain, which you can then trade. And every transaction has a small fee, a portion of which goes to whoever launched it. So Launchcoin was actually done by this guy named Ben Pasternak over here. He's someone who's raised hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for his projects with so many connections in the tech space. So clearly, this is a reputable guy, and it's something you can gauge statistically. You can look at his awards, see how much money he's raised, the types of projects he's launched. He's someone you want behind your thing. This is a guy you want running your project. So, reputable founder, check that off. And in a lot of cases, that's actually really all you need for a runner. Just someone with a lot of clout, someone who's really well known in the tech space, a lot of connections, a lot of awards, lots of money raised. If you see anyone that has that kind of background, that's all you need for a tech coin to run. It'll go millions off of that alone. But I want to talk about the second point, which is actual use case of the tech. So Launchcoin itself started an entirely new meta. You had developers from all around the world hopping on crypto and making their own projects to get funding for whatever they were working on, a lot of which I made money on myself. Reply Guys, this was a Believe coin, I made 11K. API layer, this was a Believe coin, I made 4.6K, and so on, so on, so on. What I'm trying to say is there's clearly a use case of this tech, and there's actual developers from all around the world using it. So we can check this box off. And what happens when 2 of these come together? You get a 350 million market cap monster like this coin. Like I said though, the only thing that matters for these tech coins is someone reputable. Once you have that knocked down, that's going to cause a runner already. But when you combine an actual use case of whatever tech coin that you're seeing, that's when you have a giga runner like this. The next type of narrative I want to talk about are what makes up a running Twitter and influencer coin. So number 1, the individuals that the coin centered around need to be popular, right? There's a coin being created out of a message. Nobody's going to care about what the message is about if that person who's behind it doesn't have a lot of influence. Because this is an attention market, right? Nobody cares what a regular person is saying, but they're going to care if it's someone like the president of the United States. So that's the first thing. And number 2, same thing with culture coins. It needs to look good as a coin. It needs to resonate with crypto Twitter. A good example of this I want to show you guys is a coin like PVE. This coin right here, President versus Elon. So I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know about the conflict going on with Trump and Elon on Twitter right now. They're calling each other names, making crazy accusations. So right off the bat, you have two of one of the most popular people in the entire world, Elon Musk and Trump, being part of this narrative. Number one, it's part of a recent conflict. So this is clearly something that has a lot of mind share. So we can check off the first box. Number two, does it resonate with CT? If you're not familiar what PvE means, it's basically an acronym for player versus everyone. That's basically a way of saying there's a euphoric market condition going on. So the opposite of this would be PvP, player versus player. People are trying to fight each other for the leftover liquidity of whatever is left in the market. So PvE is a term not only related to crypto, but it also relates to something bullish. And remember, crypto's all a narrative game, so that bullish factor is going to translate really well as a coin. So it fits everything that it needs to. And there's also not only the entire crypto timeline talking about this, people trading any other market, literally regular people are talking about this. So this is something that resonates great with CT. And once you have these two lining up, you get something like this, a running influencer coin that hits several millions. But one thing I do want to note about these like Twitter influencer coins are that they don't last very long after the initial run up, right? Because a message getting a lot of attention right now probably isn't going to hold up that level of attention once the whole thing washes over. You can see that applies for PvE. After the initial run up, it retraced insanely hard. Because if it's getting peak attention right now, right? This is where Elon and Trump are throwing shots at each other, and this is on everybody's newsfeed at the moment. What's going to cause this to get even greater attention in the future? Probably not a lot of things unless it's escalated even further. Those are things that are out of your control, right? You don't really have an edge in that sort of thing. So that's why you want to think about why someone would buy this at a 10x market cap of what it is right now. They probably won't. So that's one thing I do want to note about these running Twitter or influencer coins. But if you can identify what kind of these coins are going to run at the start, doesn't matter. You're in early, you're dumping on everyone's heads at the top, and you're out by the time it starts to retrace. Now we know exactly what kind of stories are behind these running coins. So let's go over the next piece of valuation, and that's going to be community. So what kind of communities are these coins going to have? One thing I want to talk about is that community is only really going to be super important for these culture coins, right? Because for a meme or a piece of culture to grow, you need an audience backing that up. The most important factor for these are really going to be who is actually behind them or the memeability aspect, right? But I do want to mention, if you have something like a tech coin and there's a community of actual users who are utilizing this piece of tech, okay, that's a different scenario. Then that's really bullish because that's the strongest use case of tech you can have. But most of the time, what are these communities actually going to look like? All you have to do is head over to the Twitter of whatever coin you're looking at. Then all you're really looking for are just people who are engaging with the coin, people making content about the coin, interacting with it, sharing it. And that's all you're looking for here, real people that are backing the coin up. And if it's someone like a well-respected influencer, then all the better. A good example of this would be someone like Axiom. This guy, Black Noise. This guy is someone who rarely pushes coins, but when he does, they do extremely well. One good example is Housecoin, this one right here. The second he started talking about it is when it went to 120 million. So this guy clearly has a lot of motion. And if you have someone like this in your community, that's great. But for the most part, unless you have someone like him behind the coin, a lot of these runners are just going to be narrative dependent. And that's going to apply even more for the price action check. It doesn't matter what kind of early price action the coin's going to have at the start, if it goes up and down, if it starts chopping, as long as it's a really strong narrative, that's always going to win out at the end. And that also means you need to prepare for strong retraces. A good example of this would, again, be King. If I head to the early stages of the chart, you can see it didn't go up only at the start. It started consolidating, retracing a little bit. And from my entry at 340K here, I was forced to be negative on my position for a little bit, up on my position a little bit, but it didn't matter because I didn't actually take action until I noticed it actually started moving. And it's going to be like this for almost every single runner. Launchcoin with a 350 million market cap, but it took a long time for this to pick up until Ben actually started working on the coin. So you need to be aware of this. And generally, you're not really going to give price action too much thought. Remember, these are meme coins, super volatile assets. It's extremely hard to actually do TA on any of these. And the only scenario where price action would really come into effect is when it's first created and you see that initial burst of volume and you're left wondering, okay, why is this actually getting buys? And that's when you look into the narrative. So with all of this in mind, you know what a running coin actually looks like. Now, how do you execute? And it's actually pretty simple. All you have to do, head to Axiom, sit on Pulse, and just watch. Anytime you see a coin that is getting a little bit of volume and it has an interesting name, do your research. Look into the narrative and see if it's going to fall on any of these three cases. And the second you see a match in narrative, Try to bid as early as possible. Remember, you have this framework. You're going to be early beyond everybody else. And you hear me mentioning narrative, because at the end of the day, narrative is the only thing that matters for these running coins. Remember, a truly strong narrative is going to be what decides the price. And if you can't be early, the whole move happens without you. Wait for a retrace, a flash dump, and assess the narrative and see if it's still strong at that price point. For example, PVE. You saw me mention this earlier. After the move has already happened and the media is already used to the mania, there's not really many things that can push this even further beyond what it actually was. So this could be a case where if you miss the initial move, you need to rethink to yourself, okay, is there now still a reason for someone who would buy this at 10 times the market cap that it is now? If the answer is no, move on to the next play. And the second thing I want to mention, if you actually catch these runners, is you should always be averaging out. You want to never sell your position in one clip. You can see for King, there's a million sells on my screen right now. Could I have played this a lot better? Sure, but I also could have played it a lot worse and sold even more of my bag early on. But I was able to prevent that by just selling bit by bit. If you're trying to time your entire bag at the exact top, you're not trading, my friend. That's gambling. You're going to get caught with your pants down more times than not. And by averaging out, you're now in a scenario where you have your initials out and some profits, so you can ride the rest of the run less emotionally, and you're going to be looking at things a lot more objectively. This is a good example of a coin that has some potential. There's no doxed founder behind this, but they managed to get this coin stack on the app store. So I'm going to buy in a little right here. There's a decent catalyst since it's pretty difficult to get through the legal aspect of putting this on the app store. So I know there must be someone solid behind this coin. Not really getting any volume right now, but I'm still going to hold because I trust that this narrative is something that's going to get picked up. Lots of speculation volume right now. Going to start taking my initials here. All right, now I'm going to start averaging out. All of this is just speculation. There is no confirmation that this coin actually has a real founder. All there is that it's on the app store. Still averaging out here. And now it's nuking because the tech was revealed to be fake. Didn't even matter that it was though, because I was able to front run the speculation of a possible good tech team, an app. But that's also why it's so important to average out in scenarios like these. This way, I still walk away with profits. And just like that, I made 30 sold, pretty much $5,000 in literally just a few minutes, all because I utilized the strategy. So you can see a lot of the execution just really comes from understanding what narratives these runners have and having the experience and the understanding and spending enough time in crypto culture. And knowing this framework is what's really going to let you catch these running coins. And remember, it can only take a single one of these plays to change your life. All that really comes down to is that framework and sitting in front of your screen and researching everything. That's all crypto is, showing up and getting experience. It's genuinely not that hard, and it's why I love this space so much. Your time is actually rewarded. It might not be today, it might not be next week, it might not even be the next month, but as long as you show up and you can identify what you're looking for, you're going to win in this game. The last thing I want to talk about in finding these runners and executing them is your risk, because it's easy to make money in this space, but it's even easier to lose it. So main thing, only buy an amount you are willing and you can afford to lose. What do I mean by this? Any money you throw in, even if you see a running coin, you should consider it zero. It should be an amount that, number one, will not affect your financial position whatsoever. You should be able to live the same way you do now, whether you're in or out the trade. Number two, it should be an amount that you're willing to lose, so you're not going to be emotional about it. Any coin I buy, I consider that money already lost. And by doing that, I'm able to look at it as objectively as possible. I know when the narrative's lost and, okay, I should cut losses, or this is just a regular retrace, the narrative's still strong and I should keep holding. And this is going to help you keep your capital intact. Nobody's perfect. You're not going to catch every single runner, and you're not going to play every runner perfectly either. And until you have that opportunity where you're able to execute properly, you need to keep your money. You need to maintain your capital for that moment, and as long as you keep these two principles, you'll be good. So now you know how to trade profitably. You know how to identify valuable coins, and you know how to navigate yourself with these two trading styles I taught you. But now we're going to make sure you're not making the same mistakes on repeat. Journaling is honestly really overlooked in the crypto space. And it might seem tedious, but it's extremely important, right? It's only going to take a couple minutes out of your day, and it's going to save both time and money. So if you want to take this seriously, why would you not do this? I see it so many times in my group, just people who straight up don't journal or don't review their past mistakes. And the second they start, they see mistakes they don't even know existed. So save yourself some time and just start journaling. You don't need to sit down and write an essay after every single trade, but just have something down at the end of the day. Don't just sit there stupidly, whether it's about crying over a loss or just glazing yourself after a win. No, just actually sit down and ask yourself what went wrong, what you did right, what you could have done better. All you need to do to analyze that is ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1, what was the narrative of the coin you bought? Number 2, why did you buy where you did? Number 3, why did you sell for how long you did? And number 4, why did you sell where you did? For every single trade, I don't even write these down. I just ask myself these questions. And at the end of the day, once you have some time or you're just doing some review, just put something down on paper. I have tons of losses and trades that I don't play well. If I'm making these mistakes and reviewing them and I'm making hundreds of thousands a month, why would you not be doing the same thing? There's tons of moments where I just don't research thoroughly enough, I miss something, I don't fully grasp the narrative, but what do? I figure out where I went wrong, I pick myself up, and I move on. And by doing this, by asking yourself these 4 questions, you know where you are as a trader in terms of your skill, you know your trading style, if it's working for the current meta the market's in, you keep yourself grounded, and you look at things more objectively, and most importantly, you give yourself room for improvement. That's what this is all about. You should always be taking the steps to becoming a better trader. And that's the whole point of this. But some traders, even after all of this, the framework, the trading styles, the journaling, they still lose because they're overlooking this next step. And at the end of the day, tools and strategies mean nothing if your mindset isn't locked in. Making money in meme coins is pretty easy, I'm not gonna lie. In a volatile market comes a lot of opportunity to make profit, but it's so much easier to lose it, and that's going to be from things like revenge trading, overpositioning, panic selling and buying, hesitating. And the thing that all of these have in common is that they all come from your mindset. I'm going to tell you right now, the 3 most common cases of losing money in crypto are from the fear of missing out, impatience, and revenge trading. You have to remember that you're not going to catch everything. A lot of the times in a volatile market like this, and when you start getting impatient, trying to force plays, you see a lot of these people making crazy P&Ls on the timeline, on Twitter, and you just can't take it anymore, and you just start losing your sense of risk, and you show that on chain by just buying everything, slacking on your research. Those are going to be the most dangerous moments. You need to remember that it's okay to miss out. It's okay to lose money on a trade. That's the way meme coins are. You're going to lose money. You're going to learn lessons. And as long as you stay grounded, it will pay off in the long run. I'm going to be honest. I literally prove it on my challenge wallet. I was literally negative at a point, and now this wallet is up over $50,000. My win rate is below 50%. You are not going to catch everything, but it's the plays that you do catch and how you execute them that matter. It's always going to pay off in the long run. This is literally a wallet I started for the sake of content. There's an actual process to this. And with that, another piece of advice I'm going to tell you right now is to always have a thesis and plan when you make a trade. Be aware of all the bullish factors of why you're taking the play. Remember, you're not gambling here, you're a trader. So many people ignore the different factors when it comes to meme coins, and that's what makes them think this whole market is gambling. But you have to remember, that's all noise. There's an actual framework that goes on in here, and as long as you stick to it, you're going to win out at the end. And that also means you can't be a community member. This isn't a casino or a social media platform. You're here to trade. Be selfish when you're selling and be ready to cut losses. And as long as you keep these principles in mind, you're going to win in the end. And now you know how to absolutely dominate in this market. If you want to trade with me and other hungry people, you can join my group Fortune in the link in the description down below. Thank you for watching.